If your iPhone suddenly became slow right after a software update, you're not imagining it. Millions of people report the same pattern. You update your phone, the battery starts draining faster. Apps begin to lag. And when you ask for help, Apple suggests you buy a new phone. And here's the shocking part. Apple publicly admitted they were slowing older iPhones down, but only after they got caught. Today, we're breaking down the full truth, what Apple doesn't want you to know, and most importantly, how you can stop your phone from being slowed down. Think about it. Every time a new iPhone is released, your perfectly fine phone suddenly becomes unbearably slow. Apps freeze up the battery percentage, jumps up and down, erratically, and even just scrolling through a web page feels like a chore. You take it to Apple support, and they tell you, well, your battery health is aging maybe. It's time for an upgrade. But is that just a coincidence? Back in 2016 and 2017, thousands of users started noticing that the moment they installed the latest iOS updates, their phone's performance dropped off a cliff. The timing was just a little too perfect, and people were getting suspicious. This wasn't just a few isolated incidents. It was a widespread pattern that was impossible to ignore. Users felt like they were being pushed to by new hardware, even when their old phones were physically in great condition. The frustration was building, and the online forums were buzzing with complaints. Then, in December 2017, something huge happened. A developer decided to run performance tests on older iPhones and found they were being intentionally slowed down. The data was undeniable. Apple had secretly built performance throttling right into iOS without telling anyone. Only when this clear, technical evidence became public did Apple finally admit it. They released a statement saying, "Yes, we slowed down older iPhones," but claimed it was to protect the battery and prevent unexpected shutdowns. But for many, that explanation sounded like an excuse. The damage was done, and the controversy exploded worldwide. People felt deceived. They weren't given a choice or even a notification. Their expensive devices were just being made slower behind the scenes. This breach of trust sparked outrage and led to a massive public relations crisis for one of the world's most valuable companies. The fallout was immediate and severe. Apple was sued in multiple countries for this practice, which many called planned obsolescence. In the United States alone, they had to pay over $500 million in settlement fines. People who owned older iPhones like the 6, 6S, 7, and SE were eligible for payouts simply for being affected by the slowdowns. If a $500 million settlement doesn't prove that something was seriously wrong with this whole situation, I don't know what does. It was a massive financial and reputational hit, and it forced Apple to be more transparent about battery health and performance management in future updates. You might think that's where the story ends, but this is where it gets really interesting. Even after being caught and fined, many users still report the exact same pattern with newer devices. We see posts all the time. My iPhone 11 slowed down right after I installed iOS 17. My iPhone 12 is overheating since the last update. My iPhone 13 battery is dropping 15% overnight. So the big question is this still happening? Just more quietly? Let's be realistic. Apple benefits when older phones feel slow because it speeds up the upgrade cycle. When your current phone feels frustrating to use, that shiny new model in the Apple Store looks a lot more appealing. It's a powerful incentive for a company that relies on selling new hardware every single year. So, while they might not be using the exact same methods as before, the end result often feels suspiciously familiar to millions of users. So, let's get into the actual technical explanation that nobody explains clearly. Here's what's really happening. Whenever you update your iOS, your iPhone has to do a ton of work in the background. The system rebuilds its Spotlight search index. It reanalyzes all your photos to create new memories. It updates its AI models. It resyncs all your background data, and it applies new security patches. All of these processes are incredibly intensive, and they can absolutely destroy your phone's performance and battery life for several days after an update. So even if Apple isn't deliberately slowing your phone for profit anymore, your phone still feels painfully slow because of all this background activity. And the good news is, this means you can actually fix it, if you know which settings to change, to give your phone a chance to breathe. Alright, here are 5 critical settings to change right now that will instantly improve your iPhone's performance, especially after an update. First, make sure Low power mode is turned off. Sometimes it stays on after an update and throttles your phone. Second, disable background app refresh for apps you don't need running all the time. Go to Settings, General, and turn it off for apps like games or social media you only check occasionally. Third, reduce motion and reduce transparency. These are under accessibility settings, and they turn off fancy visual effects that use up processing power. Fourth, temporarily turn off iCloud photos syncing for the first few days after an update. This gives your phone time to finish its other background tasks without being overwhelmed. And fifth, clear out your old system data. Go to Settings, iPhone, Storage, scroll all the way down, and check the system data section. If it's huge, a backup and restore is the best way to clear it. Do these 5 things, and your phone will feel like new again. So, is Apple still intentionally slowing down your phone? We can't prove it for a fact. But the timing of these performance drops, right around new iPhone releases, well, it's suspicious, to say the least. And that's why I want to know what you think. Does Apple slow your phone down on purpose to get you to upgrade? Let me know with a simple yes or no in the comments below. The debate itself is powerful, and I'm curious to see where everyone stands. This story took weeks of research to break down and put together for you. If you want more real tech exposes, hidden features, and deep dives that the companies never talk about, make sure you subscribe to TechSparks and turn on those notifications, because next time, we're exposing why your iPhone storage fills up, even when you think you've deleted everything. You will not want to miss it. Thanks for watching.